quit out of Deadlock. I uninstalled it after 4 hours, and I said, fuck it. I'm going to play something that I actually like. I'm going to play Dishonored. So I finished Dishonored earlier today. Had a little bit of time to kind of think on it and digest it. Most of my thoughts were already pretty crystallized, and it is a very consistent experience front to back, so there wasn't much that changed based on me finishing the last couple missions of the game. So I can safely say that Arkane's Dishonored kicks ass and is a really, really good immersive sim. It's funny because I feel like you look at Arkane's history and they just consistently prove that they have really good taste in games, because they made 2 awesome immersive sim games. One of them was a System Shock type, and one of them was like a Thief Deus Ex type. The System Shock type obviously being Prey 2017, the latter being Dishonored. I also own Dishonored 2, and I want to get to it now because, I fucking really liked this game. Dishonored came out in when was this? 2012? 2013? 2012, okay. Dishonored was the first game that I ever read a preview of in the first issue of Game Informer magazine that I ever got as a kid. So it has like a kind of special little place in my heart, even though I'd never played it before, as just like one of my part of being my first exposure to, I don't know, like gaming discussion and stuff like that as a kid. So I finally got it. It was super cheap. Plus the sequel was super cheap. And I don't know. I think people have heard of it. If you're not familiar with it, I can give you a brief summary. So Dishonored it's an immersive sim, which is probably not helpful if you don't know what that means. But if you don't already know what it means, it's probably not helpful. It takes place in this cool world. A lot of people describe it as steampunk, but it's more like Boston punk. Not the band, but the city. It is a kind of fantasy setting where the main source of power comes from whale oil. It seems like this extremely nautical, water-bound... I say water-bound like we're not all water-bound. World where the main empire that this takes place in is it kind of reminded me of like the British Isles or something. They don't have British accents. They have like a general sort of American accent. But lots of water. There's always water and rivers and ocean just all over the place, like on every single map. It's a consistent thing. It's very UK, I guess. And their main power supply comes from whale oil, this liquid that provides energy for them or whatever. So not quite steampunk, whale oil punk. That doesn't roll off the tongue as well. It's got this really cool art style. It reminds me a lot of how concept art looks for games, like it has like a concept art look. You ever look at concept art and you're like, wow, this looks so much cooler than the final game. Like it's got such a style to it. That's just sort of what Dishonored looks like. It's this very painterly, not particularly colorful, lots of black, white, brown, gray, but very stylish in the way that it uses it, like a very tasteful art direction. It's not just blah. It takes those colors and it really paints them in the world, like painterly style, in the way that the textures look, the way that the lighting looks. The characters all have kind of slightly exaggerated proportions and faces and stuff like that. Everything's just a little bit exaggerated into this style, and it's very. It doesn't like slam you over the head with an art style, but it's really nice and appealing, and it fits the mood. It's dark and kind of dingy. The shadows look great. There's like flourishes of brass color here and there. Good looking, really good looking game. It takes place in this empire where that has been beset by a plague, a rat plague. There's rats everywhere in the game. And the main character is the kind of like lead bodyguard of the Empress named Corvo. And he's like this super assassin guy, fighter guy. Corvo has been on a mission to basically ask other countries for help in the combating the plague, and when the game opens, he's come back from that, and he is meeting with the Empress and her daughter Emily, who he has kind of like almost a fatherly relationship with. Very cute between the two of them. And then, shocker, I'm sorry if this is a spoiler, it's like the first thing that happens in the game. These shadowy assassins like literally teleport in and kill the Empress and capture her daughter. Corvo is blamed for the murder. It becomes immediately obvious that it was like a frame job, that he is being framed for the murder of the Empress. You actually learn later in the game that wasn't the original idea. It just happened to be a really useful coincidence that Corvo happened to come back on that day. And so now Corvo he gets like tortured and kept prisoner, and they're going to execute him. But there is a little loyalist conspiracy who know that the Empress was assassinated. They help him break out of prison, and he joins up with them. And they're like, hey, dude, we're going to send you on some missions to take out various people who are high-ranking in the government or something so that we can replace them and basically stage a coup. You're going to be our main killer. So that sets the stage for this wonderful mission-based structure that Dishonored takes on. It is an immersive sim in the style of a Thief or a Deus Ex, where you are dropped into these large, intricate levels with all of these pathways and hidden areas and secrets and side things and optional things and optional characters to talk to and side quests. One level here will take you 2 hours or something like that in some cases, depending on how you want to play it. It has a lethal and non-lethal sort of play style. It calls it like chaos. There's like a chaos indicator for like how much. It's not an indicator. The game never shows you the number or anything. It's just like high chaos or low chaos, depending on how many people you killed. And you have lethal and non-lethal options to deal with basically everything outside of like the tutorial when they introduce you to the combat. But after that, the game basically lets you play how you want to. And it's just a really good-ass immersive sim. In that sense, you have a bunch of really cool tools. You have these special magical abilities that you gain access to. You have like a teleport. You have like a sort of X-ray vision. You get the ability to like possess animals. Like you can possess a rat, and your soul will literally go into the rat. You'll teleport and become the rat essentially. And then when you release the possession, you just appear there, right? So you can like use the rat to like sneak through a doorway and then pop out when no one's looking. Because it's an immersive sim, so it has all of these different systems and like NPCs have all these different behaviors they'll react to certain things in certain ways. Like most NPCs, if they see a rat that's nearby, they'll go and try to stomp on it to kill it. So if you possess a rat, they might stomp on you, and I don't know, does it kill you or it does like a bunch of your health or something like that, and then you pop out, and it's super awkward. There are like guards who are part of like the state police, and you can like there's if you're like ridden with the plague, you turn into essentially like a feral zombie. Holy shit, that scared the hell out of me. My phone just buzzed. What was I saying? Right. And like the police will attack them on sight. They'll just kill them on sight and run in with like clubs and guns and shit. And so you can like lead zombies over to the police to distract them and stuff. just like a taste of all the different types of things that are possible. The game is designed in a way to give you multiple different paths through a situation. It's like, okay, here's you have to get past this barrier. It's like this electric barrier, and if you walk through it, you get incinerated. So what can you do? You can deactivate, you can go find the power source and like take the power source of like the whale oil canister out. You can use like a rewiring kit so that instead it will incinerate enemies and guards instead of you. Or you can go and like do a little parkouring and platforming and teleporting around on around the buildings, during which you'll probably find like little side apartments and stuff like that with like money and stuff that you could, little benefits to exploring. And then, there's like a little way that you get on the rooftop and actually go over the building with the electric wall. So like that's just one thing. It's like something from the first level, You'll go find, again in that first level, very intricate. You can go do this whole side quest with this like old lady, and she tells you like there's this whole thing with this side quest with this gang, and then from there like you can go break into this like scientist guy's house, like his estate, that's on one of the streets, and there's multiple different entrances, and if you like parkour good, you can get into like the top entrance and like totally bypass all of the guards on the lower floors. And it's like this whole intricate interior with like a secret passageway and notes that you can read. And then you like come back there later. And that's just the first level. It's not even like everything in the first level. And it's like, there's like 5 different ways that you can assassinate or that you can take care of the main target. There's lethal and non-lethal ways. So what's cool about it is that the way that all the missions are designed is that your direction at the beginning is just to kill them. And that's the one option that you have. But you will always, I'm pretty sure every single mission has an optional side objective where if you follow that, like side quest, you figure out a non-lethal way to take out the target. So instead of like, I don't know how much I want to spoil because it's like a good moment. There's like some really good moments where you like subvert, instead of killing them, you give them, honestly, sometimes fate's worse than death, to be real. The ethics are interesting, but there's lethal, the non-lethal ways are almost always, like, I would recommend playing this game non-lethal because number one, I like stealth in games. If you like stealth in games, this is a fun game to stealth through. And in my opinion, the non-lethal routes are way more interesting. You get to explore way more of the game. You get to experience all these cool little side quests and characters who are reoccurring. There's neat things where it's something you do in one mission will then carry over to another mission, and characters will respawn. They'll be like, there's something that you did in that previous one. They'll be like, oh, someone took out all my guys. Can you help me? And it's like, oh, yeah, that totally wasn't me that did that. Exploring is really fun. The movement feels really good. Just sprinting around, jumping. You can get upgrades to your like jump height and like and your sprint speed, and like that lets you mantle onto things, climb up onto things better. You can upgrade your teleports. Now you're zipping around the map and stuff. And exploring feels so rewarding where I am always so into like just exploring every single nook and cranny and side thing in every one of the maps, because number one, the environments are so wonderfully detailed. Like everything looks good. Nothing ever feels stock or placeholder. The art direction is great. Like just walking through some of these areas, like it's really a marvel of just sort of this like depressing, falling apart gray world that has like this. There's a real like morose beauty to a lot of the environments. Lots of things like at night or sunset or early in the morning, sunrise. And they really take advantage of it. I get like beautiful art direction in the game. Lots of great like dialogue to overhear. I love guard chatter. I love a game with good guard chatter. And just so many ways, just a good ass sim, like in the way that you get so many ways to approach all of the situations. It really feels like the way that you play through the level is tailored to you. There are so many different ways to accomplish each goal. Even if it's just like what route you take, and you find that, because in my glee and my giddiness to explore every corner of the maps, you end up finding all the alternate routes, and you're like, whoa, this is so cool. I could have gone here. I could have gone through it like this. Whoa, there was a door. There was like a side thing at the start of the level that got me. It was like a shortcut all the way through, and I just missed it. Wow, if I replayed this, I could take that and take advantage of that. Some really cool missions. There's one that is like entirely in like a masked. You're a guest at a masked ball, because Corvo has this like epic assassin mask, edgy edgelord mask. And the whole thing is that there's like these three sisters who are all wearing almost identical masks, and you have to, with just different colors, and you have to figure out which one is your true target. And so you're walking through, and no one thinks you're suspicious because it's a masked ball. So no one's treating you weirdly, but there's certain areas where if you go in them, you'll be trespassing, and then they'll like get suspicious of you and investigate. And there's like there's all these different routes, and you can find secret passages and things in the basement, and things on the upper floor, and how you get there. Oh my god, like it's just so sick. Like, it's fucking cool. It's such a consistently cool game to play if you are at all interested in immersive sims or games like that. Like, it is really hard to come up with negative things to say about it. I would say Dishonored is like, I remember it being well received, and I think the appreciation for it has only gone up in recent years because, honestly, maybe on replay, things start to become more apparent. But from my first time playthrough, took me about, how long was that? Let's say 16 hours. I couldn't identify any real major flaws. The only thing that annoyed me was that every time you load a quick save, the game does not keep your equipped thing to what it was before you like quick save. You always start from like, so you've got all these different like weapons, like different types of crossbow bolts in your gun, and then you've got all these different like magic abilities on your hotbar, and I'm usually keeping mine around the teleport and the like shadow vision, which is like your X-ray thing. And I'm usually keeping it around there, but if I load my quick save, it starts me all the way back on like the first thing on the hotbar, which is like the pistol or whatever. And so if I'm quick loading a section, I always have to remember I got to switch over, and there's like a switch time, and depending on when you quick saved, it can be a little bit annoying because you were like right next to a guard or something, and you really should have really nice to have blink out immediately. That's like the only thing. It's like a really minor little nitpick that I can think of, is that like the game doesn't remember what you had equipped, like what you had out when you quick saved or loaded or whatever. It's like the only thing. Other than that, wonderful game, just a good ass game. And I was looking up videos of it, and dude, there are videos of people going insane on this game with like the combat. So the combat isn't like amazing. It's probably the weakest part of the game. Another reason why I would recommend doing like a more pacifist playthrough or a non-lethal playthrough. But oh my god, the systems and like when I say it's kind of weak, I mean like yeah, hitting people with your melee is like kind of weird, and there's like mechanics for blocking and parrying and stuff, but it's a little floaty feeling, you know. Combat, first person combat is not Arkane's strong suit. It's not their strong suit in Prey either. It's interesting because it's one of the options available to you. But otherwise, you know, I wouldn't go out of my way to engage in the combat. But there are like fucking wild things that people are doing where it's like, I was watching this guy's fucking just like show off movie where he's doing shit like having a guy, like a guard, shoot at him, and then the moment that the guard fires the gun, he stops time, possesses the guard, walks the guard in front of his own bullet, and then leaves the body, and the guard just gets shot by his own bullet. Or like some guy's severed head from getting like blown up. There's like a group of enemies like in a huddled up in a little group, and he takes one enemy's like severed head, stops time, picks up the head, puts it on the floor, attaches a like wire bomb to it, which is like a proximity activated bomb that'll like a shrapnel bomb essentially, and then slides, walks back, then takes like a running start and slides into the head, which launches it, and then time resumes, and the ball, like the fucking soccer ball head, he like soccer ball kicks it into the group of enemies, and because it passes, because the bomb, like the proximity passes by them, it just blows up right around them, and it's so fucking cool. You can do some really crazy shit in this game. Like you can shoot a crossbow bolt, stop time, and then attach a wire bomb to the crossbow bolt so that as it passes by enemies, it'll like do the same thing, like a fucking mobile like a sensor fucking bomb or something like that. Like so cool, right? Immersive sims are all about that like systemic design of just here's a bunch of stuff, you know, and it all works together, and it has interactions with each other. As much of the game as possible is able to interact with itself, right? And you can just pull off some really cool sequences with it. Dishonored, big old 2 thumbs up from me. If any of that sounds interesting, check that shit out. It is a consistently good time. It was just 16 hours of uninterrupted, good ass sim gameplay. And I'm very satisfied with it. I can't wait to play the sequel. Haven't heard much about the sequel because I know, you know, I mean, immersive sims generally don't sell that well. But I'm very curious about it. Hey, it's Arkane. I trust them to make good sims. Hopefully that Blade game is cool.